What's up, guys? We're here again for another episode of Enthusiasts and Entrepreneurs. Felix Karpeh. Today, I have a very, very special guest, Cory from Lifestyle Tint. Cory, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I see you living life, man. Where are you right now, matter of fact?
We're actually in Roatan, Honduras, in the west end. That's more of the kind of first world built up part of Honduras here on the island.
Wow. And for those who don't know, where is Honduras?
Well, we had to drive here. So if you drive here, go through Texas, all the way through Mexico, go all the way through Guatemala, and then you're in Honduras. And then we had to take a ferry from the mainland to the islands. We had a vehicle here. And so we could bring our dogs here, honestly, because right now with COVID and stuff, they won't let your dogs fly.
And so what made you move out to Honduras?
I mean, somewhat of a long story short, my wife and I, we always loved the tropics and wanted to come out here. Kind of what I found with working with Lifestyle Tint, to start a company, I think most people kind of realize that you just have to put in the time. So we were working, or I was at least working, 80-hour weeks, 7 days a week, like 10, 12 hours every day, sometimes more, and you get burnt out. And I would take like a day or two off, like a weekend, and it never felt like I was actually resetting to where I would go back to my job and could perform at my highest level and actually enjoy it. Because eventually you start resenting what you do, when you just get burnt out. So I found that instead of taking a couple days off every quarter, we would take a week-long trip somewhere. And since we like the Caribbean, that's the best that we decided on. And we would take a cruise, usually twice a year, and go to a new island. We wanted to figure out what island we enjoyed the best. And we found out the islands that we liked were Roatan and Curacao. And we wanted to go to each one for at least 2 weeks to experience the whole life on those islands. And we came to Roatan for my wife and I's 6-year anniversary this last June, and went around the whole island and toured the properties and stuff like that, just to see what their prices were like and what like normal living was like and costs and everything. And while we were driving around with the agent, we actually saw a piece of paper kind of pop out from under his seat when we were in his truck. And we asked him about it. And it was actually this property, which hadn't even been listed yet. And he brought us here to come see it. All the other properties weren't working for what we needed, but this one was like perfect. And we weren't really expecting to move here. It was kind of like, a couple years down the road, we would try and purchase it and rent it out, and then maybe come here while business was slow in like January, February for tinting. And we found out that on Roatan, their banking system doesn't have traditional loans. Like you can't put 10 or 20% down and then move in. You have to buy in cash, or you have to find a seller that's willing to finance it for you. So the only way that we were really able to do that was through one of those. And we had just been lucky enough to find somebody here that was struggling because of COVID. The whole island was closed down for a full year. So they were just trying to offload the properties because they weren't making money. They were probably losing money. Well, not really if they already had paid off, but, had better things that they could invest their money in.
Yeah.
So anyways, we gave them a fair but lower offer, kind of one that we felt comfortable that if they accepted it, we just couldn't really say no. And sure enough, they did accept it. So we were like, well, crap, the only way that we would able to move in here is if we sold our house and took what we made off of our house to be able to get this place. So in 3 months, we got our house ready to market, put it on the market, it sold next day. And then we had the cash to be able to move down here, and everything's kind of been history since. Our guys, our team at the shop made sure that they would be comfortable running it on their own. I mean, they're fantastic. And if anything, giving them more freedom to run everything by themselves, they've gotten better because, I'm not that crutch if like a car can't be done. You know, they have to figure it out. So they learn a lot quicker than me trying to step in and doing it for them. So that's kind of the gist.
I like that. I love that. I love that. That must be a big culture change to go from here to there. But speaking of culture, you know, what kind of culture does it take for you to be able to, you know, because this what you're doing right now is like every business owner's dream, to a certain extent, to be able to step away from the business and have it running on autopilot. So like, what kind of culture do you have at Lifestyle Tint that allows you to step away and be able to trust your team, and know that they're going to deliver and keep that quality, you know, because I feel like a lot of people, they have a, what's the word? They're attached to it. Like sometimes they don't want to let it go.
Yeah, give up the responsibility.
Yeah. So tell me about like your mind frame, your mentality, like how you got into that, and then like the mentality that, you know, your team has, that gives you that sense of trust to be able to know that they're going to do that.
I would say with me, it probably started in the military. I was kind of the same way too, where I believe that, you know, especially with my company, I was the one that could do everything the best because I was the one that was always going to care the most for it. And I started it, so technically I had the most skill. But the military, they teach you to basically take your power, like once you become an NCO, non-commissioned officer, and you basically disseminate that down to your guys. So you give them a task and tell them to execute it, and basically they just come up with the way of how to execute it. And as long as the task is getting executed, you don't really care how they do it. Obviously, it's got to be ethically done, but I kind of learned that from the military and then brought it into my business. And once you start giving your guys tasks that you typically do and they execute it, and even if they're doing it, I would say at least like 70 to 80% as good as you think you could do. I mean, your life just gets so much easier because now I'm not working 80-hour weeks. I have a team to do that. And yeah, if I'm hiring somebody and paying them to do a job I could usually do, I might not be making as much money from it because I have to pay them initially. But there's no reason why you can't hire like 10, 20, 100 guys to do it. And you just make a small percentage off of each of them. And in the long run, you know, you pay them well, so they're happy. You don't have to be burnt out all the time doing all the work. So you're happy, and you build a team big enough where you're making more than what you could do on your own anyways. So I think it's just trusting your guys and giving them the leadership skills they need to do that. We're all about just honesty, open communication, and teaching leadership skills. One thing that we personally do that I don't think a lot of companies do is I would say probably 90% of my success has been from either reading or listening to books on Audible. So I actually have a stack of books in our shop that were my favorite that I thought really helped me, and any of our guys can check out or take whenever they want. And we also offer an Audible subscription to them, paid for by the company. If you really think about it, $15 a month, if they even read like one or two books a year or listen to it, the skills that they're going to get out of that to help your company, I mean, it's endless, really. So it's just empowering them to be able to do it themselves. And, you know, and then you can step away and you got a team you trust that's more than capable.
So do they get like rewards for reading a certain amount of books? I saw that you actually took them out. That you guys, it looks like you guys have a lot of fun over there too. I mean, you get the work done. You know, you guys are doing a great job, but you guys are also going out and enjoying the time and whatnot. Not like some of the other places that what do they do? Pizza parties?
Yeah.
That's the thing. So pizza parties every Thursday or something like that. So you know what? So what? To me, it seems like it's more of like a family over there versus, you know, just having employees, you know, because what are some of the things you guys have done actually?
Well, I would say it's kind of a hybrid because a lot of times with family, you're stuck with them, you know, you can't really like fire your brother. So we treat them like family, as in like how we respect them and help each other out. You know, stuff happens where if somebody's family member or somebody close dies and they just need time off, like we don't get mad at them. You know, we cater to that and we fill in that slot so they're okay. But at the same time, we have a certain expectation. I do expect them to be kind of that higher level performer compared to, I would say, your average shop when it comes to getting stuff done. And that just kind of comes with, you know, the rewards and stuff like that. So what we do is every month we bring them out somewhere, and I kind of let them decide. At first, you know, I feel like a lot of employees, they don't know like how far they can take it or what they can do because people are used to those pizza parties. So I started suggesting things like, you know, going to tactical urban combat in Minneapolis in the Mall of America and doing laser tag on a huge course. You know, we've done bowling. What else have we done? We've done paintball. Sorry, my wife's back there, so she can help me out. Yeah, we've gone to the gun range. You know, we got a guy. What?
Topgolf?
Yeah, Top Golf. So we go to Top Golf, it's one of our favorite. So we do a lot of things like that, and then that's kind of our monthly stuff. And then for the yearly, what I like to do to incorporate, you know, the lifestyle into Lifestyle Tint is travel somewhere and do more bucket list items. So we started doing this 3 years ago when our team started getting bigger. The company is big enough where, you know, we could afford it, because obviously it is a big expense. But we took them on a week-long cruise. And then last year we went to Mexico, mainly because everything else was closed down. So we did an all-inclusive in Mexico. And then this year we went to SEMA in Las Vegas. And while in SEMA, we went skydiving, you know, just to do that stuff that I feel like a lot of people would be too afraid or wouldn't do it on their own, but it's those bucket list lifestyle items. So that's just our kind of way, you know, to thank them and to create those memories together. Because like, how many companies do stuff like skydiving together? Just imagine the team building skills that are behind those things. You know, that's what makes us feel like a family, is because when you do those experiences together, you know, that's things that you're never going to forget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I can't think of any places that I've ever worked at or even heard of anywhere of anybody going skydiving or SEMA or, you know, Mexico. Like, hold on,
Yeah.
maybe I'm working for the wrong person. That's what I'm thinking right now. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So how often do you actually go back to your shop? Like, is that like a once a month thing, or are you ever coming back, or, you know, are you, like,
so we kind of try and do it like every quarter, just so we're back, you know, at a decent amount of time. I don't want to spend like a full year away, but I also don't want to be flying back and forth every month. So we try to do every quarter, but we kind of time it like what we need to go back for. So like last time we didn't necessarily go back to our shop, but we went to SEMA, which was in November. And now, you know, it's only a month later, but we're going back because we had a guy renting out the backside of our shop, and he left. We actually need that extra space. So we're ordering in all this stuff to basically get that other side ready. So we got to upgrade the lighting, we need shelving, you know, we need all the tint and tools and all that stuff ready to go over there. So we're going back for that. And then we'll probably go back in the spring sometime, at least for like a company meeting or something, but, you know, unless there's something more pressing to go back to. But it's a nice way to not only go back and see our friends, family, and help the company out, but, you know, it's a write-off because it's for work. So you got to kind of incorporate, you know, taxes and stuff in that way to be successful.
Okay. And so, like, you say you're in the military. You look physically fit. You know, you're looking good. Who was Cory in high school? Like, how did you turn into this? Like, most people, I would like to say, kind of shy away from things that you're doing right now. You know, it seems to me like you're a risk taker. I talked to you one other time and you had just climbed a mountain.
Yeah.
So like, were you always like this, you know, since your youth, or?
Definitely not. So, growing up, I was kind of the devil child that got in trouble all the time, you know, had ADHD and was on Ritalin. And, somewhat of a long story short, I ended up getting my dosage of Ritalin increased so much that I actually started like twitching in school, and I would like zone out and hallucinate and see like floating shapes and colors, and I would pot them in class, which, you know, it's funny now, but you get made fun of for that.
Yeah.
And obviously that's a problem. So then my doctor took me off that and put me on imipramine, which is more of an antidepressant. And I don't know if they tried doing that so I'd feel better about getting made fun of or not, but one of the side effects of Ritalin is, you know, it's kind of like child meth. It's a speed. So I kind of ate, you know, whatever I was able to get away with, and didn't have the healthiest diet when I was younger. So when I got off of Ritalin, I gained a bunch of weight. Then I got made fun of because I was kind of the chubbier kid in school. And then going into 7th grade, we moved to a new house in Maple Grove, out of Brooklyn Park, and a new neighborhood, new kids, better school. And I just wanted a change. I didn't want to be that, you know, that kid that got made fun of. And my principal in elementary school actually told my mom in one of our like meetings that I was going to grow up to be in jail. And you know, as a kid, that doesn't necessarily like resonate with you. But as I got older, you know, that 12, 13 mark, I got sick of being looked at as the person that nobody cared about because I didn't have a future. So I literally just made the decision that I didn't want to be that person. And luckily I found some role models as teachers and, you know, coaches in junior high and high school that got me into working out. It got me into sports, you know, and then just watching too many Rambo movies in high school, and then, you know, kind of wanting to be that badass in the military. So that's how I got into the Army, and spent 12 years in the Army National Guard, and then, you know, got out of that. And I just started reading books and stuff when I was about 21, and just took the advice from the books. Really, you know, a lot of people and influencers tell you that to be successful, you have to fail and learn from it, and you have to take risks. And I just started doing that, you know, and taking that advice. And I worked for Discount Tire for 8 years, and that was kind of my comfort zone because it was a steady paycheck. But I started to not like my job just because I think a lot of people are stuck into that regular 9 to 5, and it's just not their like life's calling. So I found a concrete company that was going to pay me almost twice as much as I was making, which we needed because my wife and I had bought a new house. Found out that, you know, we weren't making enough at Discount Tire for that. So I took the jump because I had the safety net of a new job. And then just found out that that safety net isn't really there because after almost a year of working for them, they shortchanged me 2 grand for like a set of jobs that I was working on for a month. And I was still living paycheck to paycheck. So I was like expecting that money to be able to pay off my credit cards, and then we couldn't. And then obviously that was a discrepancy with the owner of the company, which allowed me to, you know, have more respect for myself. And I was already tinting part-time on the side just for like friends and stuff, something to do. So that put me in enough of an uncomfortable zone where I took the jump to just try and tint and make it. And if I needed another job, I guess I would have had to take one. But I really just started tinting and just kind of made it work, you know, and I didn't have any skills of tinting, like other than just learning on my own. Nobody taught me. I didn't work for a tint company. You know, you just, sometimes you have to make it work. And then I just kind of built on that, you know, throughout the years. You start doing things that you enjoy and seeing results from the stuff that you're doing. And just reading more books, and you just keep going with it, and it starts with camping, which I did up north, and eventually that turns into climbing the mountains in Colorado, and maybe one day that'll turn into Everest. Who knows? You just keep having fun with it.
Mm, mm. Yeah, you say having fun with it. I think that's a great mindset to have, as you're being or pulling yourself out of your comfort zone, because it seems like at every stage there was something that was pushing you outside of that zone, but instead of you backing up from it, you rose to the challenge. And I love that, because especially as men, I feel like right now a lot of people are shying away from the things that are required to get to that next step. So I love that a lot. So what is next for you, as far as because it seems like your business and your personal life are somewhat, I wouldn't say your personal life, but your how do I say this? Your interest. Like when I think of Lifestyle Tint, it looks like it's a reflection of you almost.
Yeah.
So what is next for your business and your lifestyle, where you're going in life? Like what do you see in the next like year to 2 years, where you see yourself taking things?
So I more or less use Lifestyle Tint as a vehicle, to live my dream lifestyle, and then, help try and cater that to our customers and definitely our employees to reward them. But the future, yeah, I have an idea of what I want it to be. And I just try and better myself basically every day. But you really don't know where you're going to go. Like, I honestly never thought I would be living in the Caribbean at 31 and, have enough employees that can run a shop for me in Minnesota. That's just mind blowing, And Lifestyle Tint was basically started after having to leave the job doing concrete, and it wasn't really planned out. So I think one thing that a lot of people mistake with being an entrepreneur is you wait until you have all the tools and skills and everything you need to be successful, which really just isn't the case. You basically just start and then fire and adjust along the way. And the failure is what's going to help you succeed the fastest. The fastest you can fail, the quicker you can learn and you can actually become successful. Lifestyle Tint was literally started out of on our unfinished garage where we didn't have insulation, good lighting, even like a clean environment. I was tinting right next to our dirty lawnmower, so like dust was getting under the film and that kind of thing. And I feel bad for a lot of our first customers, after a couple of years when we got down the road and became more successful and were better. I actually did retint a lot of those vehicles I initially did. One, because a lot of them were understanding and asked if I could, but if I saw one, I would actually offer to do it because it didn't uphold my standards anymore. But we started without anything really. I had customers sitting in my garage during the winter where all I had was 2 space heaters that I used to heat certain rooms in my house, sitting in my garage, and I had my heat gun on blast on the ground. And I feel bad for this couple, but they sat there for like 4 hours waiting for me to tint their car because back then, I wasn't fast at it like I am now. And I would literally heat up the window to be able to spray it to put the film on, and it would start to freeze. So I would have to heat it up again to get the solution ready to put the film on and put the film on. And if it started freezing under the film, I'd have to heat it up again, So obviously that's not ideal, but that's just the things you have to deal with, starting a brand new company. You just kind of make it work. And I think a lot of people are afraid of like the customers, like maybe they think, this place should be better or they actually need this, but you're going to get people that honestly, they just want to see you succeed and to do well. And as long as you're a genuine person, people give you the chance to be a customer or whatever. And I think on the other note of that, like when you start, a lot of your friends and stuff, they'll support you initially, but as you become more successful, and I don't really want to say like outgrowing them, but your lifestyle just changes because you're an entrepreneur and the majority of people are regular 9 to 5. You know, your business day and stuff is just different. And then when you get successful and you have that leisure time, where your employees can take over and that kind of thing, now you have a company that's making you money, and so you can go do stuff and you have the time to do it. So a lot of those friends that might be employees don't necessarily resonate with that. But in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, one thing that really stuck with me was when he was telling a story to the author Robert Kiyosaki. Was his rich dad had like a multi-million-dollar business and hundreds or maybe even thousands of employees, but none of them came in and asked him if they could teach him what he did to become that successful. All of them would come in and ask for raises or like more time off and that kind of thing. And that's what, at least with Lifestyle Tint, is I don't want my employees to feel bound to like their what would that be called? Their what's it called? Like their potential. Yeah. So I don't want our employees to feel like their potential is limited. I want them to have like endless boundaries for that. So when we train them to be leaders, we give them ability where we can either start a shop and they can manage that whole shop and get a percentage of its commission, or I'm even fine franchising it, you know, where they make the large majority of it and we just get a small percentage. If I'm not really doing anything other than just helping them be successful, you know, I'm not trying to be a millionaire off of them, but you know, you help 100 people become millionaires themselves, and then off of helping them, you're inevitably going to be successful. So I think a lot of people need to not be afraid to ask those successful people that they see for advice on how they did it. You know, you see a guy driving a Ferrari or whatever, and I think you might be intimidated to go start up a conversation. But what people don't realize is that's just another human being. You know, most of those people where you're at, you know, were working a 9 to 5 job until they started being an entrepreneur and became successful. And a lot of those people, they do want to share their success and like their secrets and how they did it, and teach. It feels good to help people. And you don't necessarily have to get rich off of helping people. You know, even if you charge like $100 for a course and they become a millionaire off of that, what's $100? You know?
No, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's kind of you know, funny that you say that, because I think a lot of people actually shy away from investing, you know, those small amounts of money that could possibly, you know, even the conversation, just asking like, hey, you know, what did you do? How did you get to the point that you're at now? And which was kind of like the back end thinking to this whole series is, you know, me asking you guys this question, you know, as I'm on my journey, working towards what I consider to be successful, asking and talking to you guys who are what a lot of people would consider successful, because maybe they are, you know, scared to ask you, and maybe they do think that this is this big personality or something like that, you know, because you never know what people are thinking. So yeah, I wanted to create this platform for that exactly. But so what are some things that you would recommend to people or suggest for people who are not there yet, you know, mentality wise? Because I believe before, you know, you start the business, before you really do anything, that it's like a mental reprogramming that you kind of have to
Yeah.
do before you get there. So like, what are some things that you know, some, I like to call them superpowers, you know, some
Yeah.
superpowers that you need in order to start your journey, would you say?
Honestly, I would say reading, just reading self-help books. You take the stuff that you learn from them by either reading them or listening to them on Audible, and you just start plugging them into your life. Like you said, people might look like an overnight success, but that just doesn't happen. I started Lifestyle Tint in 2015, at the very end of it, but I probably started reading books and when I was like 19, 20. So that would have been like 2010. So that's 5 years of reading a book, probably on average of every month or two, to get to that point to even start a company. And then once you become successful, you kind of wish you would have done it earlier, like not being afraid to take those jumps. But all that just comes with experience and learning. But I think books is a huge thing for me. I didn't have a mentor to teach me how to tint, but I would also highly recommend finding a mentor, and not being afraid if you find somebody that's successful in your industry to ask them like how they did it, or if they can mentor you. I think a lot of things that is scary for people too is they see others, and if they're going to get into that same industry, you see them as competition, so they're the bad guy, when that's not the case. There's certain tint companies and just general people that do kind of view that, and they look down on Lifestyle Tint because we're a competitor. Where in reality, there's a boundless amount of customers. I mean, there's millions of people in just Minnesota, and all of those people have multiple cars, and they're getting a new car every few years or whatever. So there's been customers where like I might be too far booked out, or they live too far away or whatever, and I'll send them to another shop that I know just has a legit good owner that does a good job, is a good person, and I know is going to take care of them. So you need to network with those people and not be afraid to reach out with them. And I wouldn't even necessarily consider anything we do like secrets, but helping them, giving them advice like how to tint, if they don't know a certain part of it that they're struggling on, teaching them as well. They're not going to take your customers away. If anything, they're going to have respect for you, and they're going to refer customers to you in the future. And they're not going to bash you on social media or whatever. And the customers are going to see that you're just a good person, and that's who they're going to want to go to.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we, because I do window tinting too, but there will never, we'll never be able to tint every car in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a crazy thing to think about. But going to be wrapping up here. But is there anything that you would like to leave with the people, as far as really anything goes, that you feel like they should know about you? Or
I guess kind of my main points is start a business around not only what you enjoy, but like you said, kind of around your lifestyle. Like you don't have to have just a traditional business. You can kind of cater it to your lifestyle and what you want to do. And then, take like a trust in your employees and your guys, and give them the responsibility and help grow them into leaders to be able to take that over for you. And the faster you can fail, the faster that you can learn and you can grow. So don't be afraid to fail. Take that risk or that jump, going into entrepreneurship or whatever you want to do. And honestly, read, always educate yourself, try and be better every single day. It's just those little things every single day, like the book, The Slight Edge. It's one of my favorites. And it's just doing something small every single day that, over 10 years is going to be huge. Your life's just going to drastically change. And that's about it.
I love it. I love it. So where can the people find you, keep up with you? I know you said that you have a YouTube channel now.
Yeah.
Go ahead and plug us.
So we just started this being on Roatan here because everything's different. So we named it Your Dream Lifestyle because we wanted to like show businesses and stuff that's going on here, and even when I'm at home, like more intimate about our business, like how we got here, that kind of thing, how our business owners are getting there. But we might rename it. We're trying to really find our niche right now because this is still kind of all over the board. but otherwise just on Facebook, Instagram through Lifestyle Tint, and that kind of thing.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Cory, for your time. I appreciate you, man.